What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to do a main event breakdown for the weekend coming up. We got Mr. Brandon Royval going against Tatsuro Taira. This is a great fight inside that UFC flyweight division. It is in the Las Vegas Apex 5-round main event and is a great fight to be going on. Also on the card, we got Brad Tavares versus Park Jang-yeon. We got Jared Gooden. We have Grant Dawson, who's coming back. Daniel Rodriguez, Abdul Razak Al Hassan. There's so many more good fighters on this card as well, like Themba Garimbo. This card is pretty good for a fight night card, but let's get into the main event. Let's get into my best prospects of the night. Let's kind of talk about what I think that this UFC fight night card is going to be. But if you guys enjoy the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And please, guys, turn on the post notifications just so you guys can stay updated with the most recent UFC content as it releases daily. But without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's jump right into the video talking about UFC Vegas 98, who is going to win the main event, some other fights, and who you guys should be out on the look for. So kind of the first things I want to start with is my best fighter, the prospects you guys should be watching on this card. The first fighter I want to start with is Themba Garimbo. I know he fought last time. I don't remember exactly who he fought, but he's getting a big step up in competition this time with Nico Price. And I do think Garimbo is an amazing fighter inside that UFC welterweight division. He's got a good win streak going from himself. He's from Zimbabwe. He really didn't have anything, and the UFC gave him an opportunity to come on over and fight for the organization. And I think Garimbo is taking off in full stride. I think his UFC career is super star-studded in the future, and I do think that he's a great fighter and ultimately is someone that you guys should watch in this upcoming card. Also, I think another fighter to watch in this upcoming card is see how Grant Dawson responds. I know Grant Dawson not only lost to Bobby Green in his last one, but had an awful fight at UFC 302, I believe, where he didn't look that good, he didn't look that exciting, and Grant Dawson was a fighter who had such a massive hype train going into that Bobby Green fight to where he just looked like he was outclassed in the moment. So I do think you guys should stay a little bit tuned in on Grant Dawson just to see how he's fighting in this fight, considering that last October he got knocked out by Bobby Green and he fought at UFC 302, and if I remember correctly, it wasn't that good of a fight. Now I kind of just want to break down the main event, just see what it is, because since this is a smaller card, I want to do this fight, but this is a very technical fight coming towards you in your direction of Brandon Royval going up against someone like Tatsuro Taira. Now, this fight is very interesting. As we all know, Brandon Royval took the fight with Brandon Moreno on short notice. It was originally supposed to be Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi, Mexico City, Mexico, and guess what? That fight is actually rescheduled for UFC Edmonton coming up, I think, on November 2nd of 2024. But Brandon Royval stepped right into that fight and ultimately beat someone like Brandon Moreno in his own country, and that is something that is very impressive. But Tatsuro Taira fought Alex Perez in a main event in either late May or early June. I'm not 100% sure which it was, but Tatsuro looked really good in that fight. He ultimately got his back. Perez was standing, and Tatsuro was able to get him to the ground, possibly breaking or tearing something in his knee. It really ultimately stopped the fight, and that wasn't ultimately for something Perez did, rather than Tatsuro moving the motion and being able to get him to the ground. So how do I think that this fight is going to go? I think both of these guys are some amazing strikers, but I do think that Brandon Royval's a little bit of awkwardness inside the UFC octagon is going to really bring him a massive advantage over someone like Tatsuro. I am a massive Brandon Royval fan. I actually know Brandon personally. He's one of my guys, and this might be a little bit biased, but Brandon Royval, in my opinion, is one of these guys who is so good inside that octagon. I remember when he fought someone like Brandon Moreno, I was incredibly scared for him, considering that Moreno is kind of thought to be this, like, amazing guy in the UFC flyweight division. But Royval went in there and looked amazing in Mexico City. He did something that I really didn't think he could be able to do in beating Brandon Moreno. And I do think that Royval coming back against someone like Tatsuro, probably one fight away from the title shot, I think that this is going to fill him with the utmost motivation coming in here against an upcoming prospect inside the UFC. Now, Tatsuro is not someone that you can look over. He's got great striking. He's got great grappling. He's just an all-around amazing fighter in that UFC flyweight division. And he's a fighter for years to come who is going to be super amazing. But right now, if I had to guess, I think Brandon Royval, even though he is the underdog, I do think that he's going to take this fight. I think that experience is going to be with him. I think Royval is going to go in there and just ultimately dismantle Tatsuro Taira pretty quickly. I think he's going to get the knockout in this fight, but I do think that this is going to be a very fun fight for when it lasts. Ultimately, like I said, I think Brandon Royval is that guy who is probably the second best UFC flyweight in the organization right now, minus minus Alexandre Pantoja. I know Pantoja might get the new signee from, I forget which organization he is. He might get that guy. He might get Kai Kara France, but Brandon Royval has a great statement here. If he goes in there and beats someone like Tatsuro Taira, I truly think Royval has all the ability and skills to do so, and I do think that this is going to be a very fun fight for however long it lasts. Thank you guys so much for watching my UFC Vegas 98 breakdown. Please let me know what you think down below in the comments about this card. Overall, for a UFC Vegas Fight Night card, we got some good fights on here. Obviously, the main event is an amazing one. Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. We got Brad Tavares coming back versus Jung Young Park. That's a great fight. We got Grant Dawson, who was thought to be amazing. I loved watching Daniel Rodriguez fight. Abdul Razak Al Hassan is a fun fighter fighting Josh Frem. That should be a banger. And then obviously, Themba Gorimbo, one of the best fighters inside the UFC, in my opinion, coming up right now. He's got a bright future behind him, and I think Nico Price is going to be a very big step up in competition. Junior Tafa's coming back off that loss from Walter Walker, and I do think that this is a very good card considering that it is a smaller UFC Vegas Fight Night. Ultimately, like I said, I do got Brandon Royval winning this fight with Tatsuro Taira. I think he's going to ultimately show that experience going forward and just tell Taira that it's not his time quite yet. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights is MMA. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the UFC content, and while you're down below, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys can always stay updated with the most recent UFC content as it comes to you daily. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.